Hello and welcome to BTC 24 in Honolulu. I'm now joined by Manoj Paul, Managing Director of Equinix India. And Manoj, welcome to Hawaii.
Thank you for getting me in.
How is the conference treating you? You had a long journey as well.
Absolutely, after the long journey. In fact, I was 1 week in Las Vegas for our sales kickoff, and after that from here. So it was quite comfortable because the time zone and all that issue was resolved. But yeah, this has been a wonderful conference. This is my sixth time at PDC, and every year it has been as good as ever. Meeting so many clients, customers, getting to meet my colleagues of India at times, whom you don't get to meet in India, but you get to meet here.
It's the same with
so
us.
It's wonderful. It's a wonderful experience. So yeah.
There's people that we don't see in London, and then we come to these things on the other side of the world, and you just catch up.
Hey, come on, once in a year, catch up. Yeah, I agree.
Let me ask you actually the first question. Let me ask you a question. I'm going to put it to you. What's been the things you've been hearing here that you weren't aware about the market, or you needed confirmation and you got confirmation here? What's been some interesting topics that you've been hearing at this conference?
Well, of course, there has been a lot of discussion about sustainability, about how important it is for our customers and for data center service providers. There are also a lot of discussion about AI and deployment and how it is moving on, which stages it is in. Also, good to know about the plans of customers, how they were going, how they are going to move forward. In some cases, there is a little pullback. In some cases, they are going full hog. So it's always good to know how the customers are moving, because we can then plan accordingly.
Okay. I guess one of the big topics beyond AI is sustainability as well. It is the geopolitical scenario of the world. So we are in a bit of a precarious situation across the planet. How do you think that plays into Indians' place within digital infrastructure? Will that disrupt things a little bit, slow down, or is it kind of business as usual until something that we don't know happens?
Yeah, that's a very big pertinent question and been discussed all around. First, let's see that Asia as a market is big and is underserved. So there's a huge amount of potential for Asia market to grow by itself. And there are some countries like India where there is huge amount of political stability and a lot of conditions, both market conditions which are very favorable, like the economy is doing well, the huge amount of digitalization going on both on the enterprise side, and there's huge amount of adoption of digital services by individuals. And on the other hand, there are many other factors which say that, okay, because of some instability, because of some availability of power in one country, because of political instability in some other country, it just helps some other countries to become the focus where the migration of some of those workloads can happen. And that's where India, Malaysia, Indonesia, all these countries would see some good growth in offtake in the time to come.
Okay, very interesting. Focusing on India now, what would you say are the specific challenges for the markets? There's conversation around the sovereignty, there's of course power is also part of the conversation. What would you say are the main pain points, to developing data centers in India right now?
Yeah, I think India has come to a stage where it has been able to overcome some of the earlier issues which were hindering growth of data centers and the digital infrastructure as such. Say, for instance, there were some issues with policies and restrictions. A lot of them have been overcome because the new data center policies rolled out by some of the states are very, very favorable for data centers. So that part is taken care of. On the power side, we are a country which has around 400 gigawatt of total power capacity, out of which 100 gigawatt plus is renewable power. And this renewable power capacity is only going to grow. So think of it, at present, India data center capacity is around 800 megawatt and total power requirement 1.5 gigawatt. It is just 1% of the renewable power that we already have. And as we grow also, it will still be a small portion of the renewable power. So tomorrow, hyperscalers can go and deploy in India and say that, hey, I'm not taking away power from anybody else. I'm investing into solar power plant farm over there, generating as much power, electrons that I am consuming, and hence I'm totally carbon neutral. And that way they can really affect the growth and carry on with the growth in India. So power-wise is okay. Political conditions are pretty good. India as an economy is growing well. Now we are the 5th largest economy in the world. So things are all falling in place. There's internal demand plus a few other aspects favoring investment in India.
Yeah, it has been interesting to see India's development over the years. I mean, I started in the industry in 2015, so but really 2016 looking at data centers. And I remember the conversations maybe towards 2016, 17, very much just around land. And it was so hard to get land. You don't really hear that much anymore. I think people managed to figure out how to do these things. That's how the market is growing, and it's going to continue to grow. One way the market is growing as well is through a lot of joint ventures. India seems to attract a lot of joint ventures with Western companies. I mean, Equinix has its way of doing it, but we've seen things like EdgeConneX, digital realty with Brookfield and Reliance. How do these joint ventures work in India? Why are they so important to operate in the market?
What I believe is that this gives multinationals some amount of knowledge about India, because this joint ventures bring in that knowledge about the Indian market, how to do business over there, and also some access to the customers, access to government authorities for decision making and all that. That could be one of the reasons we're doing that. But we as Equinix now, we feel that, and not only we, there are others, also many multinationals have gone in all by themselves. So it's a mix. It's that it's not one of those countries where you have to mandatorily go as a joint venture. Structure-wise, it's not necessary. But yeah, for some, it is convenient to go with a joint venture with the local party to have all those benefits I talked about.
It makes life easier to have a local partner.
Yes. It helps us to take a few steps faster rather than you going through the learning curve. And when Equinix acquired GPX, we got the resources and the team which has been working over there for last 10, 12 years. So we got a team which really had the knowledge of how to run a data center, build a data center, and interpret the rules and regulations and ensure that we do everything which is aligned with what is allowed and what is not allowed.
Yeah, because these acquisitions are not just about the real estate. It's about what's behind them as
That's
well.
Bigger part of it. Real estate is a very small part. The team and the customers and the ecosystem gives a big head start over trying to start everything greenfield.
Okay, well, you already mentioned acquisitions. That's one of my favorite questions, which is, so what's in the cards in terms of acquisitions? So let's talk about capital allocation. What are you going to be investing in India this year and into 2025? And is it going to be greenfield, brownfield?
Yeah, in India, we are already much ahead in building our third data center in Mumbai, which is MB3. It is a 23 megawatt data center. We are also developing our data center in Chennai, which should be RFS by June, July. Again, it's another 20-25 megawatt data center. We took up some brown space in MB4, which is in Navi Mumbai area. And we are looking out for new investments in other metros, which we are evaluating and will be announcing soon.
Okay. I mean, Equinix secured that massive investment from Global Infrastructure Partners, which was recently acquired by BlackRock. So the investment itself was acquired. Are you guys using any of that budgets, or will you eventually get into it as well with GIP in India?
No, we're just going straight ahead. Evaluating every opportunity with the merits, and then going ahead and making some investment of ourselves. As you know, we have an xScale unit, which does get into a joint venture for investing or for funding the bigger part of the xScale, which just needs a huge amount of investment. So we have some partners for certain countries, and we are looking for partnership only for xScale. Yeah.
Okay. So then, of course, beyond power and building data centers, what else is Equinix doing around involving the community and training the next generations to then come and manage these facilities? Because I mean, we're going to be here for another 30 years, but then someone else is going to have to take over.
Absolutely, and that's a big challenge and an opportunity, and that's where we are seeing that we are bringing in new fresh engineers from colleges and then training them, and then they are training others, and that's how we are helping it. And also we are seeing many of the equipment vendors themselves are putting in a lot of resources in building up the talent and training the team there, so that has been helpful. So as you might know, a lot of manufacturing is now happening in India. Many of these UPS generators and all those manufacturers started manufacturing in India. So that brings in a lot of talent and scope for training centers within the plants, and you go and visit the plants and see how it's getting manufactured, how troubleshooting is happening and all that. So all that is helping building up the talent pool that is required for the massive growth that we are seeing in a country like India.
Quite interesting. So if you had to choose three priorities for 2024, so you have a time frame of 12 months, three priorities that the country needs to get to grasp with, so we can even foster all this even faster than it's already happening?
I think top of the mind, the first, second, third, all put together is networks. I think in India, we have everything else going on very well. We have undersea cables, new undersea cables coming in with great capacities, but the network inside the country, I think it needs a huge amount of investment. And also maybe I was talking with some of the folks here who are in the submarine cable business, maybe some of the regulations on undersea cables can be made a little easier so that the cables can come into India much faster. Maybe these are the areas, and I would say network is the biggest place where investment and some changes are needed.
Okay, so network regulations, and what would you say would be the third priority?
And third would be ease of doing business further. So a lot of improvement has already happened on that piece, but there's still scope, and there are other markets where we can look forward and say that, hey, this is much easier doing there, these regulations are not there, these restrictions are not there. We need to see how we can make it easier, bring in some of those improvements within the country also.
Simplification, right. One last question I just thought of, because it was one topic that was actually being discussed here around in the privacy space, digital embassies. Is that something you're seeing more? Is it a conversation coming up more within EQIX, with your clients, partners, even with other competitors? Because everyone talks in this industry. So
absolutely, and it's a big topic within India.
Yeah.
And I've had some discussions because, as you know, India is an IT hub for the world. Right, now we are saying that can India become the data center hub for the world? For that, there's data embassies wherein the data from other countries can come into the country without Indian regulations or regulators having any oversight on that data would really help to do that. So if you want to build India as a hub for the region or for the world, then that is a very, very important topic, and that is getting discussed at a very different level. I'm personally in some of those discussions. I am the co-chair for ASSOCHAM for Data Center Council, which ASSOCHAM's Data Center Council, and I've had some discussions with some of the ministers and officials, and it looks like there is some understanding that, okay, if we do something like that, it really helps the growth of data centers within the country, which will help growth of other ancillary industries, manpower, create jobs and everything else. So it falls in place.
It's a very exciting time.
Absolutely, absolutely.
My last question, which I've asked everyone, we are PTC 24 here in Hawaii. In 12 months' time, we're going to be back for PTC 25. What's your wish, something that's achievable, but what's your wish, or what's something that needs to really get done in the next 12 months on a global scale? What do we as digital infrastructure need to agree, execute, get it done by the time we meet here again next year?
I think we need to constantly be in touch with each other to let each other know what your plans are, so that everybody's aware and everybody plans accordingly. So we should be building data centers of the size at the locations where our customers are going to plan and when they are going to plan. If it is too early, it's not good for us, and if it is late, it's not good for our customers. So this constant dialogue of the plans of our customers and what their expectations from us is what is very necessary. We should continue, but that is why PDC is such a great place where we get all that feedback for the year that, hey, this customer is going in this by this timeline. This is where they are going slow. This is where they are going to have more investment. It helps us to plan. And I think we should continue not only at PDC, but continue over the year so that we are much better prepared and we put the money at the right place and get better returns.
Yeah. We might be 3 weeks into the year, but this is the official kickstart.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Season. Manoj Paul, Equinix, Managing Director for Equinix India. Thanks so much for talking to me. As for your home, thank you for watching, and do check our website and social media for more timely news from the digital infrastructure sector worldwide. At the Tech Capital, you lead, we report. Aloha.